The morning sun cast long shadows across the glass facade of Sterling Financial Tower in downtown Chicago, as 28-year-old CEO Jonathan Sterling stood in his 35th floor office, reviewing quarterly projections. Known throughout the business world for his ruthless efficiency and complete dedication to work, Jonathan had built his investment firm from a small startup into a multi-million-dollar empire in just 5 years. He had no time for distractions, especially romantic ones. 3 previous relationships had ended badly, when women seemed more interested in his wealth than in him as a person. Jonathan had sworn off dating entirely, focusing solely on expanding his business empire. As he glanced up from his laptop, movement outside the floor-to-ceiling windows caught his attention. There, suspended on a platform cleaning the building's exterior, was a young woman with long dark hair tied back in a practical ponytail. What made Jonathan pause wasn't just her presence, but the tiny figure strapped securely to her back. A baby, no more than 10 months old, wearing a bright yellow sun hat. Clara Mendez adjusted her safety harness and continued, methodically cleaning each window panel with practiced efficiency. 24 years old, she had been working for Summit Window Services for 8 months. One of the few companies that allowed her to bring baby Luna to work when childcare fell through. The pay wasn't much, but it was honest work, and Luna seemed to enjoy the gentle swaying motion of the platform. Jonathan found himself unable to look away. The woman worked with such grace and determination, occasionally pausing to check on the baby or adjust the tiny sun hat. There was something mesmerizing about her focused movements and the way she would softly sing to the child during breaks. Mr. Sterling, his assistant, Margaret, appeared in the doorway. "Your 10 a.m. meeting with the Peterson Group is here. Reschedule it," Jonathan said without taking his eyes off the window. Margaret looked surprised. In 5 years of working for Jonathan, he had never rescheduled a million-dollar client meeting. "Sir, something's come up. Push everything back to hours." After Margaret left, Jonathan continued watching Clara work. When she moved to the next section of windows, he found himself walking to different parts of his office to keep her in view. This was completely unlike him. But something about the scene captivated him entirely. Around noon, Clara's platform was positioned directly outside his office. Jonathan could see Luna clearly now, a beautiful baby girl with dark curls peeking out from under her hat, happily babbling as her mother worked. Clara was singing softly in Spanish, a gentle lullaby that somehow carried through the thick glass. On impulse, Jonathan did something he'd never done before. He wrote a message on a piece of paper and held it up to the window. "Beautiful baby." Clara looked up, startled to see the handsome man in the expensive suit watching her. She smiled shyly and mouthed, "Thank you," while gently bouncing Luna, who had begun to fuss. Jonathan wrote another note. "What's her name?" "Luna," Clara mouthed back, pointing to the baby. Without really thinking about what he was doing, Jonathan grabbed his phone and called building maintenance. "This is Jonathan Sterling, in 3512. Can you connect me with the window cleaning supervisor?" Within minutes, he was speaking to Clara through the building's maintenance radio system. "Hello, this is Jonathan Sterling. I hope you don't mind me reaching out like this." Clara's voice came through the radio, soft with a slight accent. "Mr. Sterling, I'm so sorry if we disturbed you. Luna's usually very quiet during work hours." No disturbance at all," Jonathan said quickly. "Actually, I was wondering, would it be possible for you to take a break? I'd like to meet Luna properly." There was a pause. I'm not sure that's allowed, sir. I'm supposed to finish this section before lunch." "I own the building," Jonathan said gently. "I think we can make an exception." 20 minutes later, Clara stood nervously in Jonathan's office lobby, Luna securely in her arms. She had changed out of her work coveralls into clean jeans and a simple blue blouse she kept in her equipment bag for emergencies. Luna, now without her sun hat, revealed a head of perfect dark curls and bright, curious eyes. Jonathan emerged from his office, and Clara was struck by how much younger he looked. Up close, his media photos always made him appear stern and intimidating, but in person, his smile was warm and genuine. "Thank you for agreeing to meet me," Jonathan said, extending his hand. "I'm Jonathan. Clara Mendez," she replied, shaking his hand while shifting Luna to her other hip. "And this is Luna." Jonathan looked at the baby, who stared back at him with unblinking intensity before breaking into a toothless grin that made him laugh unexpectedly. "She's beautiful." "Clara, how old is she?" 10 months next week," Clara replied, her pride evident. "She's my whole world." And her father? Jonathan asked gently. Clara's expression grew guarded. It's just the two of us. Has been since she was born. Jonathan nodded, sensing the pain behind those simple words. Would you like to sit down? Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water? Clara looked around the luxurious office, leather furniture, original artwork, a view that stretched across the entire city. I don't want to impose, Mr. Sterling. I know you're very busy. Please, call me Jonathan. And right now, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. As they sat on the leather sofa, Luna immediately became fascinated with Jonathan's silk tie. Reaching out with tiny fingers to grasp the fabric, Jonathan laughed, allowing her to pull on it while Clara tried to stop her. It's fine, Jonathan assured her. I have dozens of ties. So tell me, Clara, how long have you been doing window cleaning? 8 months, Clara replied, gently trying to distract Luna with her keys. Before that, I worked in a restaurant, but the hours weren't compatible with Luna's schedule. My current supervisor, Mr. Rodriguez, is very understanding about letting me bring her when I can't find childcare. That must be challenging, balancing work and motherhood. Clara's eyes showed a mix of exhaustion and determination. Some days are harder than others, but Luna gives me strength. I want to give her opportunities I never had. What opportunities did you dream of having? Clara was quiet for a moment, studying Jonathan's face to see if he was genuinely interested or just making polite conversation. Something in his expression convinced her to continue. I always wanted to go to college, study business maybe. I was good with numbers in high school, good at organizing things. But life took different turns. She looked down at Luna, who had fallen asleep against her chest. Now my dreams are about Luna's future, not my own. Jonathan felt something shift inside his chest, a warmth he hadn't experienced in years. Here was a woman who worked 40 stories above the ground with a baby strapped to her back, who dreamed not of luxury or comfort for herself, but of opportunities for her child. Clara, he said softly, what if I told you that your dreams don't have to be separate from Luna's dreams? What if there was a way for both of you to have the future you deserve? Clara looked up at him with a mixture of hope and skepticism. Mr. Sterling, Jonathan, I've learned not to trust promises that sound too good to be true. I understand that, Jonathan said, his voice sincere, but sometimes the best opportunities come from the most unexpected places. Would you be willing to have dinner with me tonight? Somewhere family-friendly, of course. I'd like to discuss some possibilities with you. Clara hesitated, looking down at Luna's sleeping form. I don't know, this is all very sudden. I know it is, Jonathan acknowledged. But Clara, in all my years of business, I've learned to recognize potential when I see it. And I see tremendous potential in you. Something in his tone made Clara look up sharply. This didn't sound like a line or a pickup attempt. It sounded like a business proposition. What kind of possibilities are you talking about? Jonathan smiled. The kind that could change everything for you and Luna, but I'd prefer to discuss them properly, over a good meal, where we can talk without interruption. Clara studied his face for a long moment, then looked around his office again. Everything about Jonathan Sterling screamed success and power, while everything about her life screamed struggle and uncertainty. Yet something in his eyes reminded her of her father's advice. Mia, sometimes angels come in unexpected forms. Okay, she said quietly. Dinner, but somewhere Luna is welcome. I know the perfect place, Jonathan said, and for the first time in years, he felt genuinely excited about an evening that had nothing to do with business deals or profit margins. As Clara prepared to return to work, Jonathan watched her secure Luna back into the specialized carrier, marveling at her efficiency and the obvious love between mother and child. He had spent years dismissing women as distractions from his goals. But Clara Mendez represented something entirely different, a strength and authenticity he had never encountered before. Neither of them realized that this chance meeting, sparked by curiosity and cemented by genuine connection, was about to transform both their lives in ways that would ripple far beyond the walls of Sterling Financial Tower. That evening, Jonathan arrived at Famiglia's restaurant, a cozy Italian place known for being welcoming to families, 30 minutes early. He had changed from his business suit into dark jeans and a casual button-down shirt, wanting to appear less intimidating. As he waited, he found himself more nervous than he'd been before any major business presentation. Clara arrived precisely on time. carrying Luna in a clean carrier and wearing a simple but elegant navy dress she had borrowed from her neighbor. She had spent an hour debating whether to accept this dinner invitation, ultimately deciding that whatever Jonathan wanted to discuss, she owed it to Luna to at least listen. "You look beautiful," Jonathan said as he stood to greet them, and Clara felt her cheeks warm at the sincerity in his voice. "Thank you. You look different, more relaxed," Clara observed as they were seated at a corner booth with a high chair for Luna. "I feel different," Jonathan admitted, helping Clara settle Luna into the high chair. "I can't remember the last time I looked forward to dinner this much." Luna immediately began banging her hands on the high chair tray, babbling happily at the new environment. Other diners smiled at her enthusiasm, and Jonathan found himself grinning at her obvious joy in simple pleasures. After they ordered, Clara, choosing carefully from the less expensive options until Jonathan insisted she order whatever she wanted, Jonathan leaned forward with a serious expression. "Clara, before we discuss anything else, I want you to know something about me. I've built my career on recognizing talent and potential, often in unconventional places. What I saw today, watching you work while caring for Luna, demonstrated qualities that most business schools can't teach." Clara raised an eyebrow. "What kind of qualities?" "Multitasking under pressure, problem-solving in real time, unwavering dedication to responsibility, creativity in finding solutions." Jonathan paused as their appetizers arrived. "These are exactly the skills I need in my company, your company." Clara looked confused. "Jonathan, I appreciate the compliment, but I don't have a college degree or business experience. Some of the most successful people I know learned through experience rather than textbooks," Jonathan replied. "Tell me, Clara, what do you know about Sterling Financial? I know you're very successful and very young to have accomplished so much," Clara said honestly. "I've seen articles about you in magazines at the laundromat." Jonathan smiled at her candor. "We specialize in helping small businesses grow and thrive. But we've been struggling with our client relations department. We need someone who understands what it's like to work hard for every dollar, someone who can connect with small business owners on a personal level." Clara fed Luna a small piece of bread while listening intently. "That sounds like important work." "It is, and I think you'd be perfect for it." Jonathan leaned back as their main courses arrived. "I'm offering you a position as a client relations specialist. The starting salary would be $65,000 annually, with full health benefits for both you and Luna." Clara nearly choked on her water. "I'm sorry, what? $65,000 a year," Jonathan repeated calmly, "plus benefits, paid vacation, and flexible scheduling to accommodate Luna's needs. We also have an excellent on-site childcare facility." Clara stared at him in shock. "Jonathan, that's more than triple what I make now. Why would you offer me such an opportunity? You barely know me." Jonathan was quiet for a moment, watching Luna attempt to feed herself pieces of soft pasta. "Can I tell you something about my childhood?" Clara nodded, still processing his offer. "My mother raised me alone after my father left when I was 6. She worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat, cleaning offices at night, waitressing during the day, and doing alterations on weekends." Jonathan's voice grew soft with memory. "I used to go with her to the office buildings sometimes when her babysitter fell through. I'd sleep on the break room couch while she worked." Clara felt tears prick her eyes as she recognized the parallel to her own situation. "One night, a building manager found us there. Instead of firing my mother, he offered her a full-time position as his assistant. That job changed our lives. It gave her stability, benefits, and eventually helped pay for my education." Jonathan looked directly into Clara's eyes. "Today, when I saw you with Luna, I saw my mother's strength and determination, and I remembered how one person's kindness changed everything for us." Clara wiped away a tear. "That's a beautiful story. But Jonathan, I can't accept charity." "This isn't charity," Jonathan said firmly. "This is a business decision based on character assessment. I've interviewed dozens of candidates for this position, people with impressive resumes and years of experience, but none of them had what you demonstrated today: genuine care, incredible work ethic, and the ability to handle multiple priorities simultaneously." Luna began to get fussy, and Clara automatically began soothing her with gentle bouncing and soft Spanish words. Jonathan watched the interaction with fascination. "You're bilingual," he observed, "fluent in Spanish and English." Clara confirmed. My parents made sure of that. That's another asset. Many of our small business clients are Hispanic-owned companies who would feel more comfortable working with someone who understands their cultural background. Clara looked around the restaurant, then back at Jonathan. If I accepted this position, what would be expected of me? Initially, you'd work closely with our senior client relations manager to learn our systems and procedures. You'd be meeting with small business owners, understanding their needs, and helping connect them with our services. It requires empathy, communication skills, and the ability to build trust quickly. And you think I can do this? Jonathan reached across the table and gently touched her hand. Clara, you've been successfully managing one of the most challenging jobs in the world. Single motherhood while holding down demanding employment. If you can do that, you can excel at anything. Luna had fallen asleep in her high chair, and Clara gently adjusted her position to make her more comfortable. The simple, instinctive care she showed her daughter made Jonathan's chest tighten with emotion. There's something else I need to tell you, Jonathan said quietly. Clara looked up, suddenly worried. What? Today was the first time in 5 years that I canceled business meetings just to spend time with someone. The first time I've felt excited about anything that wasn't related to profit margins or market expansion. Jonathan's voice grew softer. Clara, I'm not just offering you a job. I'm hoping this might be the beginning of something more between us. Clara's eyes widened. Jonathan, I don't know what to say. This is all happening so fast. I know it is, Jonathan acknowledged. And I don't expect an answer about anything personal tonight, but I want you to know that my feelings are genuine. Today, watching you work with such grace while caring for Luna, I realized I've been missing something important in my life. Clara looked down at her sleeping daughter, then back at Jonathan's earnest face. You have to understand, Jonathan, Luna comes first in every decision I make. Any relationship I consider has to be good for her too. I wouldn't expect anything less, Jonathan replied. In fact, that's one of the things I admire most about you. Your dedication to Luna shows exactly the kind of person you are. Clara was quiet for several minutes, processing everything. Finally, she looked up with a mixture of determination and vulnerability in her eyes. Jonathan, if I accept this job offer, it has to be clear that I am taking it because I believe I can do the work well, not because of any romantic possibilities between us. Absolutely, Jonathan agreed immediately. And if we explore anything personal, it has to develop naturally, without any pressure or expectations related to my employment. I completely understand. Clara took a deep breath. Then yes, I accept the position, and I'm open to seeing where things might lead between us, as long as Luna's well-being remains the priority. Jonathan's smile was radiant. Clara, you've just made me happier than any business deal ever has. As they prepared to leave the restaurant, Jonathan helping Clara gather Luna's things, both of them felt the significance of this moment. They were from completely different worlds, but something genuine and powerful had sparked between them. 6 months later, Clara would be promoted to Senior Client Relations Manager. Having increased client satisfaction rates by 40%, Luna would be thriving in Sterling Financial's top-rated childcare center, and Clara would be enrolled in evening business classes, with Jonathan proudly attending her graduation 2 years later. But most importantly, they would discover that love, built on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine caring could bridge any gap between different backgrounds. Their relationship, which began with a chance glimpse through a window, would prove that sometimes the most beautiful connections happen when we're brave enough to see past surface differences to the heart of who someone really is. Their wedding, held in the same restaurant where Jonathan first offered Clara a new life, would be attended by dozens of small business owners whose lives had been changed by Clara's compassionate approach to client relations, proving that kindness and opportunity, when combined, create ripples that extend far beyond the original act of recognition and care.